Outnumbered overtime on a Tuesday. OT, baby. So I want to get right to the live chat. There's a lot here. Ambassador Bolton is with us along for Outnumbered today. Meech says on the live chat, Bernie Sanders only had 150 people show up at his last rally in Ohio. Bernie sold out and the millennials are not forgiving him. So in the TV version of us, we were talking about how Hillary Clinton is going to have to call on some of her surrogates to reach out to millennials. What's going on?
Well, I think there is a lot less interest among the millennials in the campaign, but to me it's a big opportunity for Trump, because if he can inspire them to overcome the economic concerns they have, it seems to me he's the candidate who has the chance to do it. Hillary Clinton has been a bureaucrat and a policy wonk her whole life. Trump has been a business person. I think that's a possibility to inspire if he can do it.
All right. So glad to see Ambassador Bolton with the ladies today. Always informative and enlightening. That's Long Islanders. All of them, apparently.
All of them.
Millions of people.
Every single person in Long Island.
All right. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the United Nations and the General Assembly that's going on. Meghan, the president today, I was watching earlier, and he said that we need to start practicing better democracy here at home in the United States to show the world.
Yeah, it's all a lot of rhetoric and not a lot of specifics, and I, for one, am
What does that mean? Exactly.
No one knows what that means. It's a lot of big... It's a story and legacy of his career as the president, is that he does a lot of really grandiose speeches, not a lot of specifics. Whether he likes it or not, ISIS, the rise of ISIS, happened under his watch. A lot of people tried to stop it. A lot of people warned him. He chose not to listen. And again, the fact that he seems to buck responsibility, at least in some part, for the Syrian refugee crisis, continues to blow my mind.
Well, I'm also so sick and tired of being lectured by the president and this administration. I mean, that's all it is. It's so much lecturing, like the war on narratives and President Obama telling us that bathtubs are more dangerous than ISIS, or climate change is more dangerous than ISIS, that we shouldn't be afraid. I'm just so sick and tired of just this blatant lecturing that's going on from the administration. It's just infuriating.
Who's in the room at the General Assembly? I'm curious, because, you know, they always say the speaker plays to the room and that we're outside the room. But what's that temperature? They showed Russia, the Russian Federation, while he was speaking. I think they were still awake. Yeah, I mean, they were not animated.
They
I don't know what they were doing.
All of the highest-ranking people, typically from their respective governments, would be there for the speech by the President of the United States.
What's the temperature in the room?
Well, it depends on who the president is. I thought the reaction today was very restrained, and I think in part because maybe they're tired of being lectured as well. I agree with that. I mean, Russia's got problems, North Korea's got problems, the United States has problems. Only Barack Obama apparently does not have problems. Thank God he's there to save us. George Bush, when he spoke at the General Assembly, used to call it the wax factory, because the reaction was non-existent. So it was like being in the wax museum, sorry. It was like speaking to a room full of wax models. And
that's kind of what it looked like. I mean, I know that the camera would take certain points, because he would bring up, like when he talked about Syria, they took the Syrian Arab group that was there. But again, I mean, what can they really do? I guess they can't really animate.
Yeah, they're not likely to show much of a reaction, because they're afraid if they're shown on TV back at home doing the wrong thing, it may be the end of their diplomatic.
Like the State of the Union, when members of Congress, you know, you kind of have to sit there and do a little clap, or if you're a Republican, look a little angry if it's Obama.
What's happening on Facebook Live?
Facebook Live. Lisa is a nice addition. Yay, we like her too. Deplorable from Harrisburg, PA. Jill weighs in. Thank you for joining us.
Hershey's.
John Bolton, you are the man. I thank you for sharing your knowledge. That's Philip Godwin. And so many people weighing in. Somebody watching from Germany on Facebook Live. So we thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I love that. What stands out to you in terms of, Ambassador, these side meetings that we're told that the president's going to have?
Well, he'll have some on some of the key issues. Obviously, Syria and the breakdown of the ceasefire, which I think was always doomed to happen, but a number of other things that go to his legacy, and we'll see whether anything comes out of him. I think it's almost universally the case in the last year of a president's term that the other people are looking past the incumbent, and you can see it very graphically. Both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump here in New York this week meeting with other foreign leaders, because they want to know who the successor is going to be. That's the one they're going to have to deal with, and it's an indication Obama's becoming history.
All right, a shout back to Lisa from the live chats. Stony Creek Doug says, Lisa, Or John Kerry saying air conditioners are more dangerous than terrorists.
Yeah.
It's just back to the lecturing. And actually, funny story, I have a group text message with some girlfriends, and one of my girlfriends just texted me, who's a huge fan of the ambassador, and said, get his autograph.
You know what? You've got that app now. If you just downloaded everything that's new on the iPhone, not the app, but he could sign your phone.
Yeah, I need to download the software.
Oh, there I am, just volunteering you, just giving your signature, right?
I did download the new version of it, and I don't understand about 90% of
My
it.
husband
So
says the same
somebody
thing.
needs to help
I love
me
it.
out.
I've worn those filters out.
Sorry, I'm reading all the comments on Facebook Live coming in so fast.
Yes.
Lots of deplorables weighing in and sharing their sentiments.
Senator Bulwer for Ambassador Bolton, what is your impression of how the Obama administration's Cuba overture is proceeding?
Well, I think it's having the opposite effect that they said. They believed if we exchanged diplomatic recognition with Cuba that its human rights policy would improve, it would open to the United States and the rest of the world. They've put more people in prison on net than they've released. The human rights activists in Cuba think their circumstances are worse, and the government has not loosened its policy. They're taking advantage of Obama to get through a period of difficulty, and when their economic situation recovers, they'll go right back to the policies they pursued before.
Can I ask a question on that? Do you think it's unethical to visit Cuba right now? Because my boyfriend doesn't want to until Castro is gone. Because I had wanted to go, and he said, until Castro's dead, then there's no...
Castro?
I wouldn't say it's unethical, but I wouldn't do it because dollars that are taken to Cuba now are not going to go to the people. They're going to go, the military owns every hotel in Cuba. So you go and stay in a hotel, you're funding the Cuban military. I just wouldn't do it.
Or funding the punishment of dissidents and the beating of dissidents, which happened before President Obama, or it was the night before President Obama visited Cuba.
No, it was an insult. It was a calculated insult.
And I'm seeing from... Look what Bob found is everybody else's feed freezing. So we didn't do for a couple of days our OT baby because we had a lot of news the last couple of days. And so
I think only one person said what's happening. So maybe check your computer. When in doubt, reboot.
Just reboot. I'm pretty sure that's what you want to do. So I see the comments following of people trying to help this person out. It's interesting where we are now, 49 days. Are you looking at this in terms of foreign policy, what we've just gone through as a nation with the attacks here, homegrown terror, are you looking at where we are in terms of that conversation, saying this is where we should be going into the first debate, or do you feel like you don't know enough from either candidate, or more from one or more from the other?
Well, I really think in any close election, any single event can be dispositive, or at least the importance of any single event can grow in orders of magnitude. And I think this first debate really fits that as an example. I think the first debate is going to be the most important debate. I think in the wake of these terrorist attacks, people are looking at potential commanders-in-chief. And that's why for Trump especially it's so important, because Hillary's tried to portray him as not fit to be president, and he needs to show that he can handle the job. As one person put it, he just needs to let people vote for him. But to act as though he can be presidential, and if he can carry that off in the first debate, it could be a major changing point.
All right, from Facebook Live, Wes Wilson says, what, if anything, can be done to prevent President Obama from giving control of the Internet to the United Nations on the 20th of this month?
Well, this is removing the United States from supervision of ICANN, which has been the basically private body that has overseen the Internet. I think it's a disaster for the United States to give up that oversight. It is a rare occasion where government regulation has actually had almost unlimited good as a consequence, because it's kept the Internet free. If oversight goes to the United Nations or international bodies of some sort or another, governments like China and Russia are going to impose constraints on the Internet, and I think we will all suffer. So I hope Congress can stop this. It's a big mistake.
On a lighter note, Diana Lynn Halsell Emery says, I love that Meghan said get Jack Daniels and popcorn ready for debate. I feel the same way, but I drink my Jack with Coke Zero.
There's a lot of people tweeting me that they're drinking the same drink.
Oh, gosh.
For the debate.
I love that.
That's fun.
Probably get a free bottle of Jack from somebody, right? Sandy McLeod writes, why are we not hearing more from or about Jason Faulkner, the man is a hero? And that's that police officer, that off-duty officer who stepped in and took down the savage. It's interesting. We probably
it was heroism. There's no way that he could have told whether there were others out there in that mall.
Yeah. So, Mr. Faulkner, thank you. All right, good to have you. We'll see you tomorrow.